Hello and welcome to the inaugural episode of Review Everything. This is a podcast where we take items from across the limitless spectrum of human existence and assign them a numeric value. Because if there's one thing we know that matters in life, it's being able to say one thing is better than another and rank it. We are your hosts. I'm Ashton McCauley. This is Connor. If you don't
I'm
want
Connor.
your last name in there, people could
Yeah,
dox you. They could find
let's
it.
let's think about that one. It depends on how this goes. Let's see what we get into.
We'll see how it goes if you want to put
Yeah.
your last name on it.
Yeah.
I shamelessly self-promote everything I do because that's what independent authors are. Speaking of which, I want to talk about why we're each qualified to rank shit and why we think why us. I mean, I know that two middle-aged white men making a podcast seems like a no-brainer. Like everybody should get on board with that.
I'm not middle-aged.
It's never been done before.
Okay.
Yeah. Were you questioning if I'm middle-aged or not?
I'm not middle-aged.
I had this discussion with my wife earlier before I got on this podcast, actually, about whether or not I count as middle-aged. And, middle-aged means a different thing depending on when you die. If I die at 68,
I was going to say the median.
This is my middle age.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
okay,
you never know. And I don't know. I'm not built very well. You never know what's going to happen. But here, I'll tell you why I think I'm qualified to review shit, and then I'll pass it over to you. So I've written many reviews for films, games, you name it. Just about anything. And I may not be the best judge or the best writer of any of that shit, but I will tell you this. I have honed my skill of being judgmental to an art, and I have pretty strong opinions about shit. So when I think about putting numbers to things, and also I'm a data scientist. So putting numbers to things is what I do every day. If somebody comes to me and says, how much is it worth to have multiplayer in a game? That's a really hard question to answer, but I'll put a number on it for you in 5 seconds. Easy. And then I'll call it a day. And then I'll probably go play Fortnite. Connor, what about you? Why do you feel qualified to judge literally everything on the possible human spectrum?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'd say first of all, my brain, my thinking dome, pristine. There's a lot of things about me that are not pristine. My downstairs, not pristine.
Of your house or of you?
Hold on. Now that I've thought about this, my brain is not pristine. I think what makes me ununiquely qualified is the breadth of my vision. And I think more so than that, I try to be pretty positive. I don't try to judge things. That's my inherent thing that I want to do. And I spend a lot of energy trying to rein that in as an adult. And I think this would give me an outlet to get some of those bad numbers out of my head.
I like that.
No spoilers alert for Severance, but
just exercise the bad numbers, the ones that feel scary. Get them out of your head and put them here. I think that makes sense to me. There's numbers in my head all the time, and I need to take the piss out of something in life. And if not now, when?
Yeah, squeeze it.
Squeeze that juice. So before we get into things, I want to talk a little bit about how this show is going to work, because Review Everything is a pretty vague title. And before we even get into that, I just want to
wait. I didn't introduce myself. I'm a precarious 20-year-old with a heart of gold, a dong of stone, and a little bit too much credit debt. Back to you.
Interesting. Now I'm going to give that introduction a rating of 6.5 out of 10.
Why?
And mostly the inaccuracy of the age number. And given that this is a podcast about numbers, I feel like we should be honest with our audience whenever we can be. And I know you to be a young man of 32. So
I'm a sad dandy boy, a 40-year-old man with a beard in Seattle with ADHD and anxiety. Is that what you wanted to hear?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and I wanted to be
I'm
a
30-something also with ADHD and anxiety, and this feels like the right outlet. Just two bloods.
Good thing no one started doing these podcasts 2 years ago and kind of blew up this whole thing for us.
Yeah, definitely not. None of us have worked at a podcasting company and seen the numbers firsthand. That would be wild to then jump in and think we could do it ourselves.
Neil Blumkin.
Classic. Now, before we get into it, I'm going to talk a little bit about how the show is going to work. Each week, we're going to bring 2 items apiece. We're going to showcase these items, and these could be literally anything. We are going to have a theme for each week, and I'll get to this week's theme in a moment. We're going to showcase those games, not this week's item, I hope. I have some strong feelings about those games.
You won't know.
For those listening, Connor just showed off his games. They're very pasty. We live in Seattle. It's hey, there's some pasty games. I'm just being honest. So the goal is that we're going to argue about ratings and then put them into a database. And after 50 years of podcasting, we will have an ultimate database filled to the brim with objects and their perfect numerical rank.
Oh.
And at the end of each episode, we are also going to put these 4 items on opposing ends of a graph and rate ourselves for where we fall, because I think it's important to show that we can relate to everyday objects no matter what they are.
Why?
Why?
I want to know why. Yeah.
I like to be connected to my environment. I'm sort of a mindfulness guru. And I think that it might be a good direction for our podcast to go if we could get into the mindfulness space a little bit, just like break off a little bit of that cheese, because there's a lot of it. You know, it's a big space, and I don't think Gwyneth Paltrow is going to occupy all of it. I think that we could definitely take some of it.
Well, we'll talk about it. There's a lot of boys our age out there doing mental health podcasts and like really getting into superficial trauma and then patting themselves on the back for it, which is what I want to do. I want to do that, so let's go.
Yeah, but I mean, like, have any of them put themselves in the shoes of, like, say, a Lego Batman bust and said, does this represent me? How does it represent me next to, say, I don't know, my parental trauma from the 1990s? Like, I think that's a good scale that people don't think about every day.
You think you got a nug here, and we're going to crack that nug and see what's inside of it.
Yeah, we can crack it. I think there's cheddar in there. I think it's a cheddar nug.
Why is it cheese? It keeps going back to cheese.
It's always cheese. There's always cheddar, man. The moon's made of cheddar. The world runs on cheddar.
If one of your items is cheese, I'm going to be pretty happy.
It's not cheese. Not this week. Maybe later.
Okay.
But before we get into this week's items and this week's theme, we have to decide on a scale. And I know that you have feelings about it specifically because we've tried to talk about this several times offline, and I figured what better content than to listen to us argue about it online. So we have to have a consistent scale that we rate every item on, so that when it's in this database, we can see purely numerically, where do things rank? And I argue for a 100-point scale, even though I know as a data scientist, the 100-point scales are meaningless, but it does help make tie breaks easier. But I have an alternative proposal, and that is we do a 1 to 10 scale, really simple, but every time we have a tie, we have to add a decimal place. And like,
so only on ties.
Yeah, on ties. So let's say we have two items both get 9s. We have to add a decimal place, and we can say one's a 9.5, one's a 9.6. If something else ties at a 9.6, then we have to then say a 9.65 or a 9.66.
No, that's the worst version of everything that we talked about. You're such a...
It's just a linear scaling scale. I don't see what's wrong with it.
That's not fucking linear. You don't know what that word means. I do like the idea of constraining it to like a tie, like both teams. I did a football or a sports thing. Sorry.
Hey, but now we're in that sports algo. I'll put that in our show, in like our show categories.
Like both teams get a chance to do their thing at a tie, right? Like whether it's a football or American soccer. I would be into, if we ever get a tie, because I proposed we have one decimal if you really want to do it. And so it's a scale of 1 to 10. Of which we have 0.5s, and you had said that effectively makes it a 20-point scale. Yep. Yes, that is how math works. I do like the idea that we only use the 0.5s when we have contention, and it is incumbent upon us to do above or below. And then every time we have another one, we'll have to like rationalize that, but without adding another decimal, because that's bonkers.
Yeah, so if it's a tie, we will just have to decide which one ranks higher than the other?
We'll either increment or decrement 0.5, and then the next time we end up with one of those, we'll have to do it again,
because eventually we are going to get to 20 items, and it's going to happen really quick. It's going to happen in 5 episodes. We will have 20 items.
We can't have ties.
We can. Well,
let's see what happens when we have 20 items. How about that?
All right, yeah, we'll rediscuss the scale at 20 items. For now, it's a 20-point scale.
Let's discuss it at 10 items, and then we'll plan for 20.
Yeah, okay, so we have a 10-point scale that will have 0.5s when they are needed. That's what we're going to do. This week's theme was things I found in my house. I decided to start really simple because we weren't super prepared.
I went to a coffee shop.
You went to a coffee shop for this?
That's like 15 minutes.
I've sat down in a coffee shop and pretended to work for 10 minutes, and then I get awkward and there's too many people and I don't like it.
What I've found is that ever since COVID, now that my computer is my like fun computer and workplace, it's really hard to do work stuff on my fun computer, so I have to buy another one, or I remove myself from the physicality of that location.
Yep, that's wow, what a problem to have, right? I think that shows maybe a little bit about our economic class. Let's blow right past it. Let's blow right past it. We're just two normal dudes with normal problems, and as such, I've brought something that is both representative of a problem and also an opportunity for me, I think. So this is my first item. It is a still in plastic Blu-ray copy of the film Big Trouble in Little China, starring Kurt Russell. Context for this: I watched Big Trouble in Little China one time, and I watched it when I was 22. I watched it when I was 22. And when I watched it, I was convinced. I was like, this is going to be my new favorite movie of all time. Like, this is
you were searching for a personality, and you're like, I've run out of ideas. It's going to be
I was like, this 80s film is going to be my everything. I'm going to make this everything about me. I never watched it again. I did shortly after that buy a Blu-ray when it was on sale, thinking I'm going to watch this all the time. It has sat on my DVD shelf for over 10 years unopened. The disc is still rattling around inside. You can hear that. It's in there. And so yeah, that's my starting offer. And I think it deserves a little bit of a boost in its ranking because of the potential. And the potential is, I don't know how problematic this movie is. Right now, all I have is my memory. I just have my memory of the film. And then my memory of the film is that I really enjoyed it. Now I've grown a lot in 10 years. So when I open it up, it's Schrodinger's film. Maybe it's still good. Or maybe just maybe Big Trouble in Little China starring Kurt Russell is a bit on edge and maybe not as good as I remember it being. But I do look at the cover, and it's got him in his classic white tank top and holding a machine gun. I remember there's magic. I think there's some kung fu. There's a lot of swords, you know?
I did a quick wiki on it, and I didn't realize there was magic in it. In fact, and might be my first question. Well, first I'd say I think we've all been there. I have a similar movie in my past. It's Prometheus. I had a late night at it was the rehearsal dinner, and I ended up with a young man who was also a groomsman. And we stayed up to 2, of which he spent that time convincing me I needed Prometheus in my life. And he was right. Now it's one of my airplane movies. So I take a Xanax and I watch Prometheus after I watch.
That is a terrible film to watch on what about the people behind you? Like, for those who don't know, Prometheus is an Alien prequel that is very gory and disturbing. Like, a lot of fucked up shit happens in that movie. And that's your, like, take a Xanax and sleep on an airplane movie?
I watch it after Role Models, but I don't know. The last time
I would reverse that order, but sorry, I don't need to judge your airplane hacks, but I would definitely reverse that order if it was me.
All right. So going back, you already hit my first question, because I didn't know this movie had magic or a green-eyed woman. I'm guessing an Asian woman that the white man's trying to take. Now I'm thinking of the white tank top is from Die Hard. Anyways, so my question is, tell me the 3 fundamental ways this is different than Roadhouse.
Fundamental ways. 1, it's John Carpenter when John Carpenter was fucking on a hot streak. So this was a John Carpenter right around when he made The Thing, right around when he made Halloween, and it's full of practical effects.
Ooh.
So I do remember this very vividly. There is a man who inflates and explodes, done with practical effects. That is pretty wild.
Like air, like an air pipe gun in his butt.
Yes, and like an air pipe gun inside of a prosthetic, and that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that is cool.
2, I also remember the introduction of the movie, which is, oh man, I can share my screen. Okay, share. Also share audio. Great. I love that.
What do you got here?
I never drive faster than I can see. Besides that, it's on the reflexes.
This is Roadhouse. He's driving a truck. Isn't that Roadhouse?
You know, I don't know, but he calls himself the Pork Chop Express. So actually,
with some wild-eyed 8
he's a fast little piggy. What do you know? Of course, I call myself that too.
So that right there, yes, sir, the check is in the mail, is when I decided that this movie was going to be my everything. And honestly, actually watching this back, I'm now kind of back on board. I've like pushed myself back onto, I need to put this movie on when we're done, making this podcast right now. So with that in mind, I think we've talked about this item enough. I would love to get to the ranking. And
I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
If you remember, because I think the crux of this movie might be how inappropriate it is now if you were to watch it.
Yeah.
And I have in my head, and maybe I'm thinking about Kilmer, maybe I'm thinking about Roadhouse, maybe I'm thinking about Dirty Dancing, but in my head, there was two people who painted themselves to look like another race in this movie. Or at least one. So how many do you remember?
Well, I'm going to say this right now. It does have Kim Cattrall on the cover, and it does look like she is painting herself to look like a different race.
Does she have green hair in the trailer? In that thing?
No, she's wearing a headdress in that trailer.
Okay.
Let me just do a quick Google here. Not for the controversy. I just want to see who's in this movie. It does appear. No. I think I think we're fine. I think we're fine.
Okay.
I think we're fine.
I believe you implicitly. Yeah.
Nobody Emma Stoned this. Like, I think that these are all people of their actual race.
There's way worse ones than Emma Stone. Why is everyone shitting on Emma Stone? Come on.
Well, I mean, everybody was like, 6 years ago when that movie came out. I'm just sort of figured I'd get another tap in now that she's an Oscar winner. So, okay, my rating. So they reminded that this is a 10-point scale for all items of all time. And I think I'm going to give this one a 7.
What is the justification?
It has potential. It has a lot of potential in it.
I mean, you've seen it. You just can't remember it. So it's a type of potential.
It's a type of potential, but rewatching that intro has me like, I'm back in, baby. I'm locked in. Yes, sir. The check's in the mail.
Are there any categories or taxonomy you use to get to a 7?
No, I just sort of thought about it, and then it felt like a 7. I did the severance thing where I thought about it, and then the number that felt right was the right number.
Can I propose something to you?
Yeah.
And just as a way to get a new number without hurting the feelings of your number. Because there's two things in the title of this movie that feel very numbery to me. And you're a number boy. You said it. You said if there's one thing you do, it's numbers up, down, left, right.
Sideways.
No, never sideways. Gravity is always negative. So, little and big. So we have Big Trouble in Little China. And so if you were to take the size of the trouble that you remember, and then the little size of China that you remember, and we were to average those two numbers, what would we get? And so give me, how big was the trouble in Little China? It says
the trouble was very big. It was magic users and gun smugglers and drug lords killing people. It was pretty big.
Okay.
Like the stakes, it's not like Escape from New York. It's not world ending. So I'll give the stakes like we're an 8. And then Little China, it's not like a little version. It's not like China the country, but little. It's just like little,
Chinatown.
like the Chinatown, basically. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, the scale of that's like a 2. So if we divided 8 by a 2, that's a 4.
Well, so I'd say the accurateness of the Little to Little China would be like an 8. So we're just averaging 7 and 8. And so we get back to 8 or 7, whatever you had.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to argue in this case that Little China accurately is an 8. Big Trouble is an 8. And so I want to push you to a 7.5.
Wow, we went from arguing down to arguing up. I'll accept the 7.5. So that means the first item that we've ever ranked on this podcast is the unopened, and specifically not the film, the unopened Big Trouble in Little China Blu-ray is a 7.5. Based on, I'm just going to put notes in here of potential and trouble ratio. That's locked in. We're done. One item in the books.
That's how easy it is?
That's how easy it is.
Are you kidding me? We can do this forever.
We can do this forever. What's your first item?
Oh, man. My first item is I did a book, and there's a reason why I did a book, and it has to do with my brain and my person. So first, I'll tell you the book. The book is Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. John Green, I have his bio, but he's a prolific writer, a very early YouTuber with his brother Hank Green. They have the Vlog Brothers, and every week they would send, especially when they didn't have a lot of time together, they would send a thing to each other, which is really cute. He wrote a bunch of other stuff. I think Turtles All the Way Down. I think he's best known for A Fault in the Stars, where I think a young white girl gets cancer.
It's a love story about somebody who has cancer. I believe they made a movie out of it.
Yeah. Boyfriend gets stung by a bee. He dies too. God, that movie's a bummer.
John Green does do a podcast where he rates things called the Anthropocene Review. I just want everybody to know this is not that. This is not that.
No.
We're better than him, for one, because we rank everything, not just highfalutin life things like talking about cancer. Like
elitist. Yeah. We're here for the every person. Not all. Hold on. Just real quick. Not the every person.
Not every person.
Many, no.
We're here for a very specific type of person.
Okay. We'll take that one out.
Yeah. Cut that. And so you have this book.
Yeah, so it's called Everything is Tuberculosis. It is, hold on, I have the thing. The book intertwines the personal story of a young tuberculosis patient named Henry with the broader scientific and social histories of the disease, highlighting how tuberculosis has shaped our world and how our choices will influence its future. So
that's kind of like, there's like a lot of words just right off the bat.
Well, so that it will get into my grading rubric. And so this one was very easy for me. And I have some fun things from it.
Hit me.
So I have two categories. Books was really hard for me, way harder than I thought. And so I ended up in two categories. Did Connor read it is the first one. And it's the most important.
Did you read it?
Because I read all of it. And there are very few books that I have read all of. Something I'm trying to do more of. And but it's the first one that I've finished in a while. And the primary reason is because he's super approachable. He hits a lot of spots for old Con Bone around being curious, maybe a little pissed off at the world. I like his optimism. The second category, so that's a 10, sorry. On a scale of 1 to 10.
Whoa, all right.
Yeah, it's a binary.
Yeah, so it's a 0 or a 10. Got it?
It's a 0 or 10 for books, and I'll continue that. The second one was, did I learn some things? And more importantly, this category is called learning. There's a number of things that he highlights early on because they're fun and they get back into the book, but I think are really fucking fascinating. And I can tell you some of them if you want.
Yeah, hit me with some good fascinating facts, and note that if they bore me, it will affect the ranking.
Okay. Ooh, I'm going to start with the hot ones. Here's a factoid, and then I'll give you some more basic information. No, I'm going to tell you about tuberculosis right now. And so it is, it's a bacteria. It has essentially been a primary killer of humans for a very, very long time. It also goes by the name of consumption. Okay. So prior to us actually knowing what it was, the disease of consumption was a sexy disease. Do you remember? Do you know that?
No.
Okay. So do you know the movie Moulin Rouge?
Yeah.
All those fuckers had tuberculosis. That's why they're all red and rougey.
Oh, shit.
So for the longest time, TB was thought of a disease that rich people get, white people, and especially like artists and authors, because their physical body might be weak, but their brains and their soul are real fucking cool. And so they personified this disease before we know how it happened to like only attack smart, beautiful people. And so when kings then got it, they'd be like, oh yeah, the king got it because he fucking deserved it because he's hot and rich. And so it actually influenced beauty standards tremendously. So one of the things it does is consumes your body from the inside and it makes you real skinny. And that's kind of when skinny people got hot. It also makes your face red, and that's why people started putting on makeup.
Now, that is all very interesting and very
thanks, man.
Relevant. And so. As much as I love dismantling wealth systems, I have questions of my own that I think will help me get to a ranking system. My first question, I want to ask, how does this book help me with my many financial troubles? So I have a lot in the sense that I am actively going into debt and the economy is pretty unstable, and I want to know what this book does to help me with that.
I don't think there is a direct solution. I'm assuming that this like a solution that you would prefer is that you get money, right? More money from something that you learned from this book or from having the book sitting on it. I don't know, something like that.
I keep losing when I go to the tables, and I'm wondering if this book can help me be better when I'm at the tables.
You're immunosuppressed, no?
Yes, I am immunosuppressed.
That's actually very, very good. I think I have a solve for you, and it is about eliminating the future debt that you would incur by being dead. So in most cases in the United States, we are not vaccinated for TB because it's not really an issue. anymore. Most people who have it, I think it's 90%, don't actually ever present. It just kind of lives in them and slowly does nothing. And so my guidance to you is actually go make some TV friends, of which there are a lot in Africa and other places, and you will get it. And then maybe you'll get a fast version and buy.
All right, that helps me actually a surprising amount with my financial troubles. The last thing is, what does it do for me if I get trapped in a snowstorm and all I have is this book?
Oh, man, that was gonna be the answer. It's similar. I apologize.
Is the answer that I die faster?
Well, not
because I have tuberculosis.
No, I am gonna pull a John Green thing though. What he said is, for those of you like him who are kind of nervous, anxious about the world, don't forget we're in the middle of the story. Like for us, the story starts when we're born, and the most recent chapter is the day we're living, but that's not the actual story, and things go up and down. And so I guess the guidance I would share with you is, even though things would look dismal, I assume you're in a vehicle in a ravine, snow is piling around you, you run out of candy, and you have, I don't know, probably 20 days to die. You're pretty lean, maybe 20
maybe
days.
less. I'm immunosuppressed. I get cold pretty easy.
Yeah, so as the life leaves your eyes, I think if it brings you solace to think that you are in the middle of the story of humanity and it doesn't end with you, that could be helpful in that moment.
I wasn't expecting answers to these questions. I really thought that was going to be my gotcha moment, and I was going to be able to knock you down a few pegs.
You can't fucking get me, man. I read a book. You write them, I read them. Knock them down.
All right, so what is your ranking?
Ooh, so this one I anticipate some pushback, especially now that we're starting to slot things in. Based on the rubric I created before, averaging, not so great. I have a 10 because I read it, and then I had an 8 because it's interesting. And so to average that, if you could bring up the calculator and share the screen to see what that would be.
Hey, look, we got the numbers here. So we have 10.
Yeah.
8.
Yeah.
That's 18.
Divide by the number of instances, which is 2. Yeah, 2.
9. And then we add in my rating.
Okay.
4. And then we divide that by 2, which puts you at a 6.5. That feels pretty fair to me.
You didn't read the book. How did you rate it? Just based on the quality of...
Based on what you've told me and the fact that it's a book, and that what it does for me is that it helps me die quicker. It doesn't help me with my many financial woes or my gambling problems, and that seems... I would just expect that.
Is any aspect of your rating, are you doing it to mess with me?
No, I would never.
Then I take it as an earnest contribution, and I am okay with averaging it. I will not retaliate because this was not a retaliatory action, and I appreciate you listening to me, my factoids, and giving a score.
Yeah, there we go. That's great. And it's a 6.5, which does mean it's lower than the item I brought, which also means that I am currently winning.
Oh,
We'll just put TB book in there at 6.5, and notes are doesn't help with gambling, addiction, other than death.
All right. You can cut this part out, but I feel like you're being a kind of a virgin right now.
What's a virgin?
No, you know my bees. Virgin.
Oh, a virgin. I'm being a virgin right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm winning though. My items are
okay. Go to your next. Okay, go to your next item. I love this.
All right. So my second and final item requires visual aid.
Oh, I was hoping so.
It's parchment.
Oh.
What's on this parchment, you might ask? Wow, it actually looks like nothing when you put it on camera.
Yeah.
It's actually really hard to see. This looks like I'm holding up a blank piece of paper. Fuck, this is going to affect my rating. What a fucking shitty visual aid this is.
Why not? Can you fix it?
The problem is it's really faint because it's old. But what I can show you is this.
What was the item? What are we talking about?
So I'll show you this first. It says the city of Seattle. Okay. And it says March 11th, 1958. It's signed by the city planner. This is the original hand-drawn remodel plans for the current house that I live in when they remodeled it in 1958. And this room I'm sitting in did not exist before this remodel. So that's pretty rad. And that's already going to make my ranking come up a little bit, I think. But I will say that I kind of goosed myself and my ranking went down when I tried to show it on camera and it didn't show up. And I don't like it when things don't make good visual aids. So I'm gonna knock it down a few points for that.
Me either. That was, yeah, no one wanted to, yeah.
No. And also in 1958, part of this remodel was that they did put copper wiring into the entire house, which, aluminum wiring. They put aluminum wiring into the entire house, which if you don't know anything about aluminum wiring, they don't do that anymore because it was done really badly. And it was, so first of all, it was cheap. That's why they did it. It was cheap.
I'm actually hold on. I'm very excited about this. I've never heard aluminum as like a conduit for electricity in housing.
Let me double check. It's either aluminum or copper, but I think it's aluminum.
I think you're an idiot.
No, okay, so it is. It's aluminum. It's
what?
Yes.
I take that back.
Aluminum wiring. For those who don't know, when you're buying a house, if it has aluminum wiring, you should run the other fucking way because you're gonna have to rip all of that shit out.
Dude, we can't, our demographics, Gen Z can't buy a house. And so
yeah, and Gen Z's the one listening to podcasts. You're right.
Take that part out.
Yeah, you're right. No, but anyway, so aluminum wiring, huge fire hazard because it heats up if there's like, I'm gonna butcher this because I fucking don't understand wiring. But I think when you don't have proper voltage control, it heats up and starts fires. If you look at a home now and it has aluminum wiring, you're supposed to replace it all. So part of this 1958 remodel was putting in a lot of aluminum wiring. So that's also going to knock it down a few pegs. But I will say, like, I'm also rating this as an object. It does have a pretty strong heft to it, despite being paper. Like, I feel like I could get a good whap on somebody.
It's definitely got Goonie vibes.
Yeah.
Like when you grabbed it. Yes.
I like that.
So does it smell wet?
No, it smells definitely very dry. Very dry smell.
Okay.
Like dry old paper. And I like that. And then the other thing I like about it is an electrician came in to put internet in my house because my house is old. And when we were trying to figure out, like, can we drill through this wall or are we going to hit foundation? I was like, I know a guy who knows. And it's Mr. Architect here who drew these out. So I looked at the plans and I found the foundation line. And I said, I think we're good. And we were good.
Damn. Did you see if this guy's still alive? The one who signed it?
Ooh, that's a good question. I wonder if we could identify this signature. It looks like it says pedo. Not
oh no.
Sorry, not like pedo, like Pete O.
So my instinct is to ask you, this is an old house. You have the original things.
Very, very old house, 1912.
Is there anything around specters or ghouls that you found? Are there any secret rooms or traps? Are there egresses that could be used in the case of an emergency, like back when we thought we were going to get bombed? Like anything like that?
So that is interesting. Actually, the bottom of my house is not up to code in that the egresses are not large enough for you to get out of. And if you open the window, it actually blocks you from getting out of the room. Turned my house into more of a fire hazard. Specters, ghouls, I haven't seen any. If I did, I'd be pretty excited about it. And yeah, it's pretty.
Was there anything you learned from this thing? You used it, which is really rad. But like, was there anything that you found out about your house in this map other than aluminum wire?
I did find out what used to be here, which is this used to be a garage, which is not that interesting. Like if it used to be like a burial ground or something, it'd be a lot cooler. I will say, one of my favorite things about it is just doing one of these.
Yeah, that is nice. Oh man, I bet it keeps its shape.
It does.
That's satisfying. Yeah.
If you need them, like somebody comes over and they're like, "Where's the bathroom?" and let me take a look. I do like that.
All right, I'm ready. I give your stupid house a fucking 3.
You give it a 3?
A fucking 3.
Explain to me why it's a 3.
Oh, so it's not your house. It's the paper.
The paper.
Yeah. So you got to 2 by using it in a way, which I appreciate because I do a lot of DIY and I love the idea that you reduce costs for yourself or a complexity by getting this old thing. So that got you 2. You get 1 because the rolly action and it's old and it's been in its shape for a while. Other than that, I'm going to give you another point. I'm going to give you 2 points for I'm going to give 3 points for aluminum wiring. What did I say? You're at a 5. I changed it.
Originally, I think my plan was to give it like a 7.
Yes.
But then it fucking betrayed me on camera. I'm going to say I'm okay with a 5. A 5 seems fair. So
yeah,
a 5 for the plans to my house. I'm going to say, as far as notes, aluminum wiring, helpful. Also embarrassed me on camera.
There's nothing more that I hate that when first inanimate objects hurt me and then 2 inanimate objects embarrass me.
Yeah, like the only thing it could have done worse is giving me a paper cut.
Yeah.
All right, what's your last item?
Okay. My last thing. Fitz. It's my dog. It's one of my dogs. He's not going to come up because he's an asshole, which we'll get into. Fitz.
Speaking of objects embarrassing you on screen.
Watch, the other dog's going to come up. No dogs are coming up. I hate you guys. Fuck. Okay.
Oh, embarrassing. Embarrassing.
So my second item is my dog, Fitzgerald, short for Fitz. So this one was a little bit easier for me in how I thought about how would I judge Fitz? Because oftentimes in speaking with my partner, I like to stack rank the dogs, and usually I stack rank Fitz last because he's got a big attitude. And so I thought I should actually put some scores against these dogs because we live with them and we spend money. And I'm mean to Fitz a lot, but I think he deserves it. So it's worth putting some thought into. So do you want to guess what my categories are for dogs? Like, how would you rate a dog?
Ooh, okay, interesting. Mouth feel. 1.
Their mouth or mine?
Maybe a little
Both.
Bit of both. How does it feel in your mouth, and how does it feel to touch their mouth?
Mouth on mouth, okay.
2, smell. I'm gonna guess smell is a part of it. At least that's something that would be in there for me. Ease of use. Like how easy is it to use this dog for dog stuff?
You've hit a lot of things within my categories. So what I landed on, the 3 things that were the most important for me for a dog and how I would rank them. First, companionship. Right. Second, aesthetics/vibe. That's where smell.
Aesthetics. Yeah, that's big. That's big.
Smell and look would go in. And then my third one, and this may just because my experiences as of the last couple of years, is danger. Which in my previous, like a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have danger as having a dog wouldn't be a major one, but this dog and danger is a big one. Okay, so in companionship, Mr. Fitzy, can you fucking get up here? You're making me look like an asshole. I can't whistle. My lips are what enough. I can usually whistle. We took him mountain biking. And so he'd be able to run 5 to 10 miles. That's the other one. He could, this one's okay. He could, he could hang out with us. He could go mountain biking. He's really good at sitting in the car and looking at people. And so, like, part of his companionship is, like, I'm sitting in the car, he's sitting in the car, we both look like humans, and, like, people try to pay attention to him like he's a dog, and he's like, nah, fuck you, I'm a human, and he does human things. Like, he looks out the window, maybe he barks at him.
Do you like that?
The last thing is if he gets the chance, he will fucking run away from us. And he does it on purpose, and it's mostly he knows where the raccoons and the bears have trash, and he wants to go eat that trash. And so there's a moment, and this is my most frustrating thing with this dog, is that he has the cognitive ability to understand what I don't want him to do, and then he makes the choice to do the other thing. Why he gets a 4 on companionship. Okay. Aesthetics vibe. Look, he's a good looking dog. It's the thing he has.
I wish I could see him, you know?
I know.
That would really help.
He's a cattle dog that has Shiba Inu in him, so he's got a big sassy face. He's got a flame on his head. We'll post a picture for everyone who's looking on Instagram and the other channels. So that's good. Oh yeah. So when I feed him food, when I'm walking away, I don't make eye contact, and he doesn't either. But we do a little dap. I go like this, and like we both don't look at each other, and he just like pounds my fists, and then I say, "You can eat now, friend," and then he goes and eats. So I really like that vibe. And then he also does mean face. And so if there's something he doesn't like the smell of, he makes a real human-like face. And so, like, he hates coffee. And so if you bring coffee within 2 feet of him, like, he looks at you like you're being an asshole, which we are because we know he doesn't like coffee. And then he bares all his teeth and he looks at us like, you fucking know I don't like coffee, guys. And so that's fun. Lastly, danger. He's got big teeth, and he's put holes in our other dogs and my partner. He occasionally loses grip in reality, and he will fight until something dies. Luckily, so far, that's always resulted in someone being there pulling a dog away. But I know for sure if this situation would happen and there were no humans around, he is fighting until he dies. And so that's not fun because we don't know when it's going to happen. And his brain goes bye-bye. Companionship, 4. Aesthetics vibe, 5. Danger, 2. 2, 4, 5, divide by 3. 9, 11, 3, 3.3.
11 divided by 3 is 3.66 repeating, of course.
So I think I already ruined my scale because I didn't want to do 0.5s unless there was a tie. So I'm going to give this dog a 3.5.
Okay, so 3.5. That's interesting. I have some questions before I assign my ranking.
Okay, let's go.
Now, you answered some of them already, but if you were in a room with Fitz and a pizza, which one are you going to first?
What does that mean?
Like, there's Fitz on one side, and there's the perfect pizza on the other. And you just got home, and you haven't seen Fitz, but you're hungry, and there's this pizza over there. And there's like a Airbud moment, like, and you have to decide which one you're going towards. Which one do you go to?
That's not what I'm most worried about. Do you know what I'm most worried about?
What?
Can Fitz get the pizza?
No, the pizza's up high. Pizza's up high. Although that is interesting that you have to consider that because that might lower the ranking a little bit.
No, for sure. So if the pizza is not safe, I am sprinting to the pizza, Fitz is sprinting to the pizza, and then we might have one of those instances where his brain goes away. Because one of the things he does is when food is accessible to him, like it falls on the floor, he will risk the biscuit. He will fucking go after that thing. And if I try to like kick, like say there is an actual biscuit, if I try to kick it, like he's attacking my foot. And so if that's helpful,
if it's helpful, I think.
If the pizza's safe and I feel like I'm in the mood, I might go dap him. And then go smell
and then eat your pizza.
If it's safe.
If it's safe. Interesting. From what you've told me, it sounds like most of the time the pizza would not be safe, though. So the pizza would need to be safeguarded first.
Yeah.
That's stressful to me as a human. The last question is, so if I get trapped in a snowstorm and all I have is Fitz, what does he do for me? Does he have meat on those bones? Like, does he look like he's good eating? Do you think he could help me hunt? I mean, actually, him killing stuff might be useful in that scenario.
Yeah. So there's some lean meat on them bones. We do a pretty good job of keeping him taut for his breed. I would say maybe I might have an aside that we can cut about Murder Pete. I actually think Fitz might be able to help you look for food, like animals. And generally may be useful depending on the thickness. Now I have questions about the snow. Again, I'm picturing you in a ravine in a vehicle. I don't even know if the doors can open, like what the situation is. But I think he might be helpful. Or you die together. Or he runs away.
Or he eats me.
If you're dead, he's 100% eating you.
But not if I'm alive.
I don't trust him. If he got really hungry, I think it might become contentious.
Yeah. I would like to argue you up to a 4 on this one. Because, and here's my reasoning, useful in a snowstorm. It's better than the last item you brought. So that's good. And that's usually one of the key things I'm thinking about.
I gave you solace as you left this material world.
Yeah, but I don't want to die. I prefer not to. So that wasn't very helpful to me in that scenario.
That's one of the ways
that's on me for not telling you that I didn't want to die. I think, it might have been assumed. Too, it sounds like he does good tricks. And has good personality. And I like that.
He has mixed personality, but yeah, he has a personality. Which I
like the idea of grimacing at people when they bring you things that don't smell good and like maybe acting like you're going to kill them. That to me, so I would say like I'd like to argue you up to a 4 if you're amenable.
Can I tell you a prank he does and maybe that helps solidify it? Because now I want to say 4. So sometimes we have a big dog park. It's 40 acres. It's wild. And there's these little ladies that come with no dogs and they bring treats and they just walk around giving dogs treats. And Fitz, if he finds one of these ladies, he just follows them. And then when they stop giving him treats, he barks in their faces and runs away and wags like it's a bit. Like he does this. Prank. He does this fucking joke, and I have to tell people, I'm like, look, if you don't give him a treat, he's gonna bark at you like he's gonna bite you, and then he's gonna like saunter away.
Stinker. Yeah, all right, that feels good. Okay, so we'll put him at a 4. Little stinker, little stinker, big danger, big danger, big danger, and little stinker is what I'll put.
Man, I wish Val Kilmer didn't die.
Me too.
Is Val Kilmer and Kurt Russell dead? I confused him with Val Kilmer first, so I thought you were being really.
Kurt Russell's alive, and it's funny when I Google him. It does actually. I'll just share my screen here real quick because this is funny. It does bring up an image of him immediately next to Val Kilmer.
Casket.
Like,
are you serious?
I think it's because Tombstone. They're both in Tombstone, but it's funny.
I thought I was doing a bit, but in my head, I think honestly, I mix those two guys up a lot.
They look really remarkably similar here.
Well, they don't anymore because Val Kilmer's a corpse.
Well, yeah. Well, he might for now, not for long. Today might
they
be the
cre-
last day that they actually look alike.
If they cremated him, he definitely doesn't look like him. Just real quick, no, just a moment of silence for Val Kilmer.
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay.
Although he was in Batman and Top Gun, Val Kilmer was a cool dude. You see this? You see this screen right now?
Yeah, so I still don't fully understand what we're
Yeah,
doing.
so this is gonna get weird. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put these in order from least to
Okay.
best, going clockwise from left to right. So on this side, we're gonna have Fitz the dog.
I can't believe you have a job in a numbers related field.
This is what I do. This is what I do.
Is this is this a SWAT? Is this a risk evaluation? What is this?
All right, well, we'll get there. We'll get there. Up top, we have next. It will be the plans to Ashton's house remodel. Then we have TB book,
That's not okay.
and then
I feel
we
like I
have
gave you so many good factoids, and to just call it TB book feels a little hurtful, but okay.
Big Trouble Blu-ray. Oh, sorry, parentheses unopened. So
If this is a laser disc, I'd give it a fucking 10.
I wish I had my laser discs. I had Jurassic Park 2 on laser disc back in the day. That was my shit.
I bet Kermit still has a laser disc machine in his
He
basement.
probably does. That's my dad's name is Kermit, not the frog. Different people. So what I'd like you to do is I'm gonna make a little X here, and we'll make it red. What color do you want to be?
Let's do red blue. Like that feels contentious, which I feel like this has already gotten a little contentious.
Oh, where are you on this continuum? So like in this quadrant, you're closer to your house remodel plan and a book about tuberculosis. Are you an unopened Blu-ray? Where do you fit? I realize I can just put your name on here. I don't even need to put an X. I don't know why I started with an X.
But make me red. Make me red, please. Or blue. Okay. I hate this.
You want me to go first? I can go first.
Yeah, it's not going to help me because I don't think you're going to have a good justification as to how this thing works, but go ahead.
Oh, man.
Hey, it's me.
Hey.
Connor
Yeah,
from-
look, there was a
Oh.
technical issue, and now I can't now I can't have video anymore. And I don't know why, but I'll figure it out for next time. But in the meantime, we are supposed to rate ourselves on this scale that I've made. Let's see if this causes everything to die again. All right, we're back. We're back here. We're going to rate ourselves on this 4-point scale.
Okay. We don't have to put any of this in. I do have questions, though. The problem is you know my frustrations already,
Yeah.
and it's on purpose, and so I'm trying to play in the space with you. What does it mean? Why did you put...
Maybe it'll help you if you watch me go through my process here.
Yeah, no, I want to hear about it. Yeah.
So, all right. So I think about like Fitz the dog.
Okay.
High danger, high pranks. I am not very high danger as an individual. I would actually call myself pretty low danger.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't fully put myself on the side of Fitz the dog. And a book about tuberculosis, while it's about danger, itself is not dangerous. And I do write books, which does make me closer to, I think, a book than I would be to Fitz the dog, despite the fact, but not all the way, because there's a little bit of me in Fitz the dog. Now, unopened Blu-ray versus plans to the house remodel, I'm not very handy, and I don't understand shit about my house, and I generally don't like old things.
Yeah.
And I also don't embarrass myself on camera, so I actually think I'm going to put myself right here, right down here in the bottom right. So that's where I've put myself.
Okay.
So where do you put yourself?
I appreciate that. Let me walk through it. Okay. You focus on, see, this is where I feel like having, because you're digging into the subcategories of things. Okay. Let's not overcomplicate this, Connor. I don't watch movies. I don't like Kurt Russell. I don't like trucks. Karate scares me. I am pretty handy. Not as handy as you have me up there. So let's lower me about, yeah, that feels good. And then TB book to Fitz the dog. I feel like I like where I am right there.
Dead center between the two, huh?
Yeah. So like if I think about the TB book for Connor, there was a big portion of like I've read a book, and that's cool. And then they're like I learned a bunch of things that I like. And then there's Fitz, and he's dangerous and kind of a shithead, but sometimes vibes, which that feels like me too. And so yeah, I'm gonna put me there. Yeah. I'm not gonna
That feels
waffle on
real.
this one. Yeah, fucking real as hell.
And see, and I like that because it shows how we're different as people.
Yeah.
And also now we've done the thing. We've related to objects in our lives.
That was
and
hard.
and
That was harder than I thought it would be.
That's wellness for you, baby. That's our wellness brand.
Oh man, as I said that I'm pretty good with houses, that's definitely a non-code running of a power cable that you see on my screen. It got me a fan. It got me a nice fan. So, okay.
And that's pretty much it. Like we ran hot. We ran very long here. Speaking of wellness, like technical wellness will be something we'll work on for next time. And this, in the annals of history, the people will look back on this and say, "Oh, this is what they were like when they were starting." You know, before they got big. So, in the interest of time,
yeah,
hey, look at that! Oh, nice and close up. I'm gonna skip the compliment sandwich part of our outline. I'm just gonna stick to some words of affirmation.
Yeah.
Connor, what did you like about this experience? What was good for you?
Your Adam's apple makes me want to check my hormone levels.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad that had that effect on you.
Do you want me to do a real one?
No, that was perfect. I think that's it. Let me think of my word of affirmation real quick. You really enjoyed that book.
What was it not? Wait, oh man, so that's the problem with this is because I don't. At some point I learned not to actively tell everyone things I get excited about, which is kind of a bummer. Yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah.
And so, like, this is fun because I got to just be excited about a thing that I learned about. And like, that's one of my favorite things. So I appreciate that. Even though you don't have a camera and you're poor. Oh, yuck.
Yeah, I know. But look, now we'll come back to this next time and we'll already have 4 items on the list. So as we continue to rank things, we'll have more. Before we go, I'm going to spin this big wheel that doesn't exist yet, but it's in my mind. I will make a big wheel for next time. Yeah, just imagine clicking. Okay. There's a bunch of topics, and I'm spinning my mouse around, and I'm picking the next one.
Click, 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 click,
ding, ding.
Click, 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 click.
For next week, we have.
Hey, no, hold on. Click.
Click.
Oh, wait, one more click. Okay.
We have things I found in my yard.
My yard.
So you're going to need to bring 2 things that you found in your yard to rate. You have a big yard. Again, alienating us from our key demographic, but you do have a big yard, so I'll expect some good shit.
Okay.
All right. But thank you for listening if you're still here. This has been a long podcast.
No worries, man.
We'll get better. We'll figure it out.